Hello and welcome to Media Rumble. I'm Chris and this is the Star Wars Senate. Now, Rogue One was a film I was incredibly excited for and actually decided to go to the midnight release of it. I wanted to be able to see the catalyst that drove the original trilogy. After I saw the film the first time, I was in complete awe. I couldn't stop smiling the entire way home, and it was a film which I could have spoken about for hours. I was actually so close to reviewing it at the time, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. So I decided I would wait until I saw it a second time. For me, there's so many times when I leave a film screening thinking it's the best in the series or the best film that I've seen recently, and I can only really see the positives. And honestly, for me, this isn't a very good way to review a film. So many people are so anxious to get home and review the film and tell people what they think of it. They don't actually think about it themselves. So I decided that taking a month off and waiting till I saw it a second time was the best option for me. Maybe not the best option for the viewers, but for me personally to put out a review which I felt held true to my feelings on the film. This is something I felt I had to do. And honestly, it's really opened my eyes to the film. To me, Rogue One is an incredible prequel to A New Hope. And it's a film which serves its purpose of expanding upon a small part of the universe which has monumental consequences elsewhere. And there was so much riding on this film. There was so much potential for disaster. And the reshoots really did not help people's confidence in the film. And looking back on it, the first two acts can't really be considered among the best of the Star Wars saga in any way, shape or form. But I think it was important for this film to let the audience really get to know these characters, because there is no real main characters that we've seen before. And it was important for the audience to really be able to get behind them and really feel emotionally involved in their fight. And to an extent they maybe didn't manage that, because for a lot of people it would have been difficult to really follow all the new characters which have been brought in and all their different motivations. And I think that this is where going to see it a second time has really benefited me. I've been able to see that it's not all positive. There are elements of this film which could have been improved upon. And it's really difficult to actually comprehend the negatives in this film when the last thing that you've seen is the sensational third act. There are so many moments in that third act that just completely blew me away. When the Hammerhead Corvette takes out 2 Star Destroyers in one go, it made me wonder why they hadn't done something to that scale before. But when you look at the scope of the space battles, there's not really been many space battles which focus on an entire fleet instead of just the goal of a main character. And the one thing that really took me by surprise was Vader's Star Destroyer emerging out of hyperspace to just crush through some of the rebel ships. But we had been warned that Vader was on his way to take out the rebel fleet. But it's one thing to imagine it, it's another to actually see it in action. Another example of this is in Lords of the Sith, where Vader takes out an entire crew of a starship single-handedly. Even after reading something like that, it really couldn't have prepared me for the Darth Vader scene in the corridor. This has to go down as one of the most memorable scenes in the entire Star Wars saga. Even the second time when I knew this scene was coming, the tension was immense. We knew from the beginning that Leia ends up with the Death Star plans, but in that moment I really had to question myself whether that actually was going to happen, because it didn't seem that Vader was going to be stopped by anything. I think the way that they set up this scene was exceptional. The eerily dark and silent corridor, illuminated by Darth Vader's lightsaber. And in that moment I knew all of those scared rebels in that corridor were never making it out alive. And to me that is something which I've never seen before from Darth Vader. He's always someone who's seen as a monster, but in this scene we really get to see how much of a monster he is. One thing I've seen a lot of talk about is the resurrection of Peter Cushing as Grand Moff Tarkin. To me, Tarkin's role in this film was essential. The complaints about the uncanny valley are nothing compared to the plot hole which would have appeared if Grand Moff Tarkin wasn't an integral part of the Death Star only moments before A New Hope. In all honesty, I didn't actually mind the CGI on Tarkin or Leia because it was an essential part of the film. After the initial shock, I managed to get over it and really was able to move on with my viewing of the film, and it didn't actually affect the experience that much. And I definitely think if you were transfixed on the fact that Tarkin was CGI, it would have ruined it a wee bit, so I tried to relax and just enjoy the film. And overall, Rogue One managed to capture my love for Star Wars and really was able to provide something which was new and fresh to the universe. And by showing a different side to what we already know, it proves there is potential for future films. And before the film came out, I asked the question, can Rogue One redeem the prequels? And in all honesty, I don't think it did. But in some instances, it can really validate the fact that prequels can be an essential part to the viewing experience. And one question I'd like to ask you is, how does Rogue One actually affect the way you view Star Wars? Does it affect the order that you watch it in? If you watched it 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, where does Rogue One fit within this? I'd really love to know, because it's something I'm going to have to go back and think about. So in the meantime, I'd love to see your opinions on Rogue One in the comments below. And if you like this video, I highly recommend checking out the rest of my content and subscribing to the channel for more on Star Wars. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.